What's up, Goofy Goobers? Welcome to another video. I'm calling you Goofy Goobers because recently I found out my brother doesn't know what a Goofy Goober is. Naturally, I threw him off a cliff. Today we are starting the great movie tier list. That's right. Blues Ultimate Forever Every Movie That I Watch tier list. And I was kind of stalling on making this because I wasn't sure how I wanted to format it. But here's how it's gonna go. We're just gonna yap for a bit and talk about the movie, and I'll show you what the tier list looks like at the end. But I got 3 movies today that I shall be ranking, and I'm gonna try to move through them somewhat fast. They're not new movies, they're somewhat old, and you can probably already tell from the thumbnail maybe what they are. And that is DreamWorks' How to Train Your Dragon 1, 2, and 3. That's right. All 3 of them. That's not what they're called. Obviously, they have full-on names, but I kind of forgot what they are already. The first movie, I'm putting in A tier. I feel like, okay, there's a little bit of nostalgic bias here. All right, don't get me wrong, but it's still a banger. It has a lot of heart to it. It's such a unique idea for a movie. The Viking stuff is cool. I will always remember the intro and outro of this movie because the cinematic value of it, of this is Burke, blah blah blah, all their faults at the very beginning, and then at the end, this is Burke, something inspirational and happy and positive. It's so cool. It's such a charming movie. The animation is a little lackluster, but that's because it's so old. It almost is kind of charming because of that animation. It's not quite like today's animation, looking at you, Disney, where it all looks the exact same. It just feels very unique. I love it. But it's going in A tier. It's going in A tier. The story is fantastic. The character development is fantastic. The little jokes are fantastic. The running gags that they have throughout the entire movie are just fun. You kind of notice them. I just love it. It's so good. One of my favorite gags is like where they're talking like, you need to fix, and then like he like points to all of Hiccup, and then like Hiccup's like, what? All of me? Or something like that, or like I don't know if I nailed that gag, but like they say that joke like 3 times, so like it's funny every time, and like the relationship between Toothless and Hiccup growing, it's so good, so good. A tier, no doubt about it. Second movie, all right. Second movie, I believe, is a B tier. All right. Now you may wonder why is it going down? Well, it just doesn't hit the same, to be honest, but it's still pretty good. It just doesn't feel right to put it on the same tier as the original. And I don't know, I feel like a little bit of the charm is almost kind of lost, just a little bit, you know? And now it kind of feels like they have a lot more money, which is not a bad thing. The animation value just skyrockets in the second one. And you can tell that they kind of aged Hiccup quite a bit. It's just such a... It's definitely improved quite a bit. I don't have too much negative to say about it. It's just not nearly as memorable. I do feel like the story is pretty good. They kind of diverge on Hiccup's father and then his mother, that crazy twist. I feel like that was pretty interesting. Of course, I don't have as much nostalgia bias for this one. Now, these rankings may change, okay? These are the first 3 movies I'm putting in this tier list, so they're kind of setting the standard a little bit. This one could easily move up to an A tier in the future. I don't think any of these movies are S tier, though. They're not quite there yet. You know, maybe if I just watch, you know, some other movies and feel like, you know, they don't belong in the same level, there's some crazy chance that they'll move up to an S tier, but I just don't think so. But yeah, the second movie, I forgot what the full title is, but it's How to Train Your Dragon 2. Look it up. Not that hard. Pretty good movie. The story is awesome. It's definitely a heartstring grabber. I don't know. It'll grab your heart at the end whenever... I don't want to... Okay. Skip like 20 seconds, maybe. But I'm about to spoil something. 3, 2, 1, spoiler incoming. When Hiccup's father dies, holy, That is one of the saddest things ever. Holy crap. And then, like, because Toothless did it, it's just so sad. Now, hopefully, if you're trying to avoid spoilers, you're back by now. It's such a good movie. It really is, but I feel like it's not quite as good as the first one. There might be a little bias there. This is my tier list. I don't really care what you think. Third movie. I think it's slightly worse than the second one. I'm gonna still keep it in B tier because I don't think it's that dramatically worse than the second one. But there is a detail that just kind of, it's a nitpick, kind of. But in the third movie, it kind of starts out with explaining, well, okay, here's a nitpick for sure. In the third movie, it does not start out with Hiccup saying, "This is Burke, blah, 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 blah." The first two movies started out that way. And then the third one not starting out that way kind of feels wrong because that kind of intro just feels so dramatic and powerful and gets you amped, you know, but it doesn't start out that way. Instead, they're like fighting and like stuff, and it's all right. But whenever they get back to Burke, there's a detail that I really don't like, okay? And that detail is that they're running out of room on the island, but it looks like they're just building stuff on this one part of the island, and that's it. And then they're saying, "We're out of room, what will we do?" And then, like, 20 minutes later, Toothless meets the girl version of Toothless and a bunch of brush and woods. And that makes me wonder, okay, so there's this open space of woods, and we're not using that? Why are they not using this random open space that Toothless just found for space, for houses, for things, you know? I feel like they could fix this issue, and I feel like the overpopulation of the island is a pretty big deal in the movie. I feel like that's a narrative driver. Another detail, in the first movie, we see that Hiccup shoots down Toothless on this like area that's like, it's like a separate island almost, maybe, not quite. It might be connected, not entirely sure. But it looks like a lot of space. It looks like they could probably use that. Why not? If it is an island, maybe they don't want to have to use boats, but now they have dragons. If it is an island, then just have the dragons live on that island. It's perfect. I don't understand that. And from the beginning, it's such a nitpick, I know, but it still bothers me. That feels like a big narrative point, is that there's overpopulation problems, but it doesn't feel like they are making an effort to fix it. So instead, they go try to find the lost world or whatever, and that, you know, everything else is all right. Everything else is fine. The jokes are pretty good in this one. I'm not gonna lie. My favorite joke from all of the movies comes in this third movie, where Hiccup and one of the twins, they're talking, they have this conspiracy, one of the twins does, that the world is round, and they have this like crazy conspiracy, and then everybody else is like, "Yeah, right, the world's not round, no way, it's flat, come on." And that's hilarious, in my opinion, that they got it backwards in Viking land. They think the world is flat, but those conspiracy theorists, those round earthers, get out of here. They don't know what they're talking about. The Earth isn't round. No freaking way. But I think that's really interesting. I think they did a lot of world building in this one. It really showed that the world was bigger than they thought, and like Hiccup is like mapping out all this stuff. I felt like the ending was pretty good. I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna spoil it because I don't think I need to. But the ending is beautiful. I will spoil this because it's obvious. Hiccup and Astrid, they get married. You can kind of assume that from maybe even the first one, that eventually that's going to turn into a long-term thing. But yeah, it's going to be in B tier, right next to the second one. They're all pretty good movies. They're all bangers. I'm not going to lie. That series is fantastic. I went to Universal Studios, and they now have a How to Train Your Dragon area. That was incredible. And the whole soundtrack and all the movies is amazing. Especially the first one. I forgot to mention that. Another reason the first one is higher than the others is because I feel like the soundtrack is better, in my opinion. I think in the second movie, they tried to remix some of the soundtrack from the first one. I wasn't a big fan of that, to be honest. But I think, without a doubt, the first one's better than all of them. The next two are also pretty good. They're still bangers. Highly recommend you watch them. They are so good. And yeah, I think that's about it. Here is the tier list on screen for you to look at. It's not much at the moment, and that's because it is still growing. I gotta watch more movies, guys. It's Christmas time. There might be movies popping up on this tier list. We'll see. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to. And movie recommendations? I don't know. What movies should I watch? Anyways, see ya. I'm gonna go to the gym. Peace.